Next, we are going to cover the counterpart to the fillet command, and that would be the chamfer command. Now we're going to use the same model that we used to demonstrate the fillet command, and that model is called Fillets and Chamfers and can be located in your Working Files folder. So let's begin. I'm going to go up to the ribbon and select the drop down below the fillet icon and select chamfer. Now the property manager opens, and at the very top of the property manager I have a window telling me that I can select edges, faces, or a vertex. Right below that I have three methods for inputting the values: angle distance, or distance, and then vertex. We are going to start with angle distance. Notice down in these settings here, we have a distance of 5 millimeters and an angle of 45 degrees. I am going to go out to the screen and select a single edge. On the screen, you see the tag here, and these tags have a tendency to have these leader lines crossing one another. You do have to look carefully to make sure that you are following the leader down to the correct line. So here's my 5 millimeters, which means that 5 millimeters is this distance here, measured along this linear edge. And then the 45 degrees is extending off in this direction. Now we can flip those two values by clicking on the arrow, or going back to the property manager and checking or unchecking the flip direction box. Let's try the next method for input: distance. Notice I have a checkbox for equal distance, and when I put a check mark here, I only receive input for one value. However, if I uncheck it, I then see two windows. Once again, we see the tag on the screen. Distance 1 is pointing down to this line here, which means this is my 5 millimeter distance, measured along this linear edge. And then the 10 is measured along this edge here. Now I am going to take that 10 and let's bump it up to 40. And notice the preview disappears. And that's because that chamfer is cutting into this cylinder. Well, I do have a setting here that says keep features, because currently what it's going to try to do is remove this feature. And it's not sure what to do, so I need to go back here, put a check mark here. Notice the preview that we are now seeing. When I close out of the chamfer command, that's the result. It kept this feature and chamfered around it. Let's go back into that chamfer command. I'll click on it and then select Edit Feature. And I'm going to clear this window. And now let's go with the last option, Vertex. I am going to zoom up on this vertex here, select the corner of the part, and notice I have three tags. Distance 1, and you got to follow these lines carefully, is pointing to this corner here. So that means my 10 millimeters is measured along this edge here. Distance 2 is pointing to this corner. So the 15 millimeters is measured along this edge, while distance 3 is pointing to this corner, which means the 20 millimeters is measured along this edge. And just like the other option of distance, we have an equal distance checkbox. And it sets them all to 10. Notice I can bump that to 15 for all three edges.